This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Good morning, TFR.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the planet. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
If you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer, then tune in to the Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
It's Friday, my dudes.
Thank God it's Friday. The noise wasn't quite as bad, and we went right on up, and I saw darkness. I thought I was going to see the world, but we weren't quite high enough.
And happy Friday to you all. Welcome to the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Oh, and it is a Friday. Been a long ass week. So I'm super happy to be joining you guys this morning and to have you guys join us. Zach and I have a special guest this morning tuning in, possibly from the road, because you never can tell. We are joined by Travis Finley, the plain truth, or he is a flat earth trucker as well. Good morning, Travis.
Hello. Whatto? Josh and Zach.
What's up, Trav?
I'm up since 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Truckers get done, man.
No. I do not sleep well in my bunk.
No, I can't imagine. I can't imagine any trucker sleeps well.
Well, I'm sure that there are some more deluxe models that have water beds and whatnot, but I was actually on my downtime outside of a truck stop on the on-ramp where a line of trucks were lined up because the parking was overflowed, right? So all through the night, I just had trucks passing me all night long. So it was a little bit more raucousy than normal. You're sleeping and then you hear a truck rumble by in it. I'm a light sleeper. I get woken up by mosquitoes farting.
So are you a private trucker or?
I am not an owner operator. I work for a company.
Okay.
So I drive a company truck. Yeah.
I've said it so many times. Lifeblood. They're the lifeblood of this, probably the world, really. Truckers.
Yeah, well,
I say they're one of the most underappreciated jobs out there.
I tried to get my redneck buddy to join forces with me when this whole crazy jabba-dabba-doo thing came around in 2020. I'm like, bro, we got to get 2 trucks and just lock up I-95 southbound. Just totally crisscross on the southbound lane and just shut this shit down. Like, this is crazy. There's no way this is going to stop until we do something about this. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and you guys have that power too. That's the crazy.
I know, right? Absolutely. Think about that. If we could have jacked those trucks in the right way, they would not have gotten that shit out of there at all. At all. And I would have just walked away from that truck. Just walked away. See ya.
Jackknifed it, wedged it right in there between the rails, and hopped out.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be difficult, right? So you just slow your if we got 3 trucks, each of us got into each lane and just slowed down, and then got into that spot and just crisscrossed each other so that it was just this, spider tangled this bird's nest of tanglement. Not causing any accidents or whatever. We just slow down and just stop.
I like it.
I know. Listen, we could do this with gas. We could do this with all these shenanigans. Like, you want to raise the price of gas to $5 a gallon? I don't think so. Like, we're not going to buy gas. Oh, but what if I have to go to work? I'm like, listen. This would not last long. These guys are not going to take our walkout for very long. We're going to win.
Well, no. You know how much money they'd be losing every second?
I know.
That's how much they rely on the trucking industry. I don't think people realize. That's why there should be National Trucker Month. There should be Trucker Appreciation Day where people buy a trucker a meal or their coffee waiting in line, something.
Damn straight.
Maybe
people
a fill up.
Yeah, hey, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
It's like $700 to fill your tank.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what's been going on, Trent?
Oh, crazy stuff's been going on. I'm not going to recap my entire. Actually, I recapped my entire existence on my live stream yesterday. My early live stream yesterday. So if you want to catch up on all the nitty gritty details, you can tune in on that. But I'll just basically sum up. I was in California Thanksgiving and 2 weeks after. So I was in California for 3 weeks, and the weather just wasn't great to shoot the islands. So up where my grandmother lives in the foothills, just absolutely away from city lights, just beautiful open sky. So I started shooting the sky. And the first night I did a back-to-back of the north and the south. And when I looked at the footage the next day, it just didn't look right. Like, if you look at, I don't even know how to give you an analogy, so I'm going to just try my best. If you're looking at something symmetrical, and then you envision it going beyond its borders, like if you've got a picture of something and you know that it extends beyond the borders, and you can see the fractal nature of it, so you can imagine what it does as it goes out and out and out and out and out. Okay? You get that much, right? You follow that part?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking north. I see the northern rotation, and I see that it's circled. It's got this pattern, blah, 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 blah. So when I look then to what I shot at the same time, right? So I set the cameras up at the same time, back to back, Sonder 1, Sonder 2, back to back. Push the shutter, click, click. I mean, beep, beep. So I got them both there, and I'm like 3, 2, click. So I want them to go at the same time. So then when I looked at the northern rotation, I'm like, okay, this is great. Got some really interesting, air flight lines coming across, probably some satellites going across, beautiful stuff. And then when I turn around to the other side, I'm like, this does not look right. So Orion comes up from the east and sets in the west. Orion is the divider between the northern and the southern rotations. And I didn't know that. I never put that together. Okay. So you've got the southern rotation and the northern rotation coming together. Orion's right there in the middle, straight across. Straight across. So, yeah, so when I'm looking at the south, I'm noticing that. I'm going, okay, look, this is really weird. But what I mean is the symmetry of the angle of the southern observation, to me, was off. I'm like, this is not symmetrical. Going back to what I said before about looking to the north and then imagining what the south would look like. So I guess the best way I could say it is like if you think that if you look toward the north and you can envision the circle of the celestial rotation going past your peripheral and going beyond you, you would expect it to just continue on in that path. But then when you get to the southern and when you then turn 180, there's an opposite pattern that would go smack up against that first pattern and at a different angle. So I'm just sitting on this going, well, this looks really, really weird. So I sat on it for a few days and kept shooting and came to realize that I would need 10 cameras, right, to do a full panorama at the same time. But what I started to do was I started to shift my cameras like 45 degrees each time. So then I moved Sonder 1 to 2 o'clock, moved Sonder 2 to 4 o'clock, and tried to overlap their field of view. And I had a tree line that I used to establish my bottom line. And P900 has an automatic grid that shows you level. So I knew I was level with my camera, and I just overlapped the scenes. So then when I then looked at that footage, I couldn't line up the star trails from one to the next. You would have thought that they would have just melted into each other. I could have just overlapped them easy as pie. But they were at a completely different angle, like 40 degrees off.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was huge. It was crazy. It was like a dog leg. Crank. You know what I mean? Like a dog leg on a golf course. Just a completely whacked out. I was like, what is going on? So I just kept shooting, and then I would switch the cameras. I would put Sonder 1 on the left, Sonder 2 on the right. Click. Get done with that timing of the star trails, and then I would put Sonder 2 on the left, Sonder 1 on the right. Same thing, exact same thing. So it wasn't a glitch with Sonder 2 because it happened with Sonder 1 as well, and it's just crazy, absolutely crazy. I still don't know what to make of it, other than I made one video and I said under the celestial dome or something like that, and I asked the question, right? Is Sandra 2 seeing the sky in her celestial dome, even though she's standing right next to Sandra 1?
That's wild.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing for the past 3 weeks, and it was absolutely fun, even though I was getting crap sleep because I was waking up every couple hours. Like my subconscious was like, wake up, you got to change your film, bro. You can't be sleeping on the job, man. Get up and change that camera. But
yeah, when I was doing the sun, I tried doing the sun and the moon for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
And I realized you can't study them both at the same time. There's no way. You need to sleep, and more than 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome, Trav.
But imagine again what I could do with 10 cameras in a complete circle, and just have them all record at the same time. That would be.
Have you thought about 360 cams?
Well, no. What do you mean?
Well, they have those cameras that you can shoot star trails, and it'll actually do a 360 star trail, so it shoots in every direction for you. You wouldn't have to rotate your camera.
A single camera?
Anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not really a single camera. It's more like 3 or 4 cameras all housed inside that one little bulb.
Yeah, I've seen that setup, so I wasn't sure if you were talking about that or like a single camera. Yeah. Well, I was thinking the same thing in terms of having an equatorial mount for a camera, but you wouldn't have a star trail. It would just be like a night sky. Like one of the nights I set up, I accidentally set up to a night sky, which just
I've done that.
Yeah. And night skies are fantastic, but it was harder. So look at this, right? So in my opinion, having never thought about these things, right? So somebody out there is going, man, what is Travis got to catch up, man? Haven't you ever thought about this stuff before? No. So if you watch the sky at night, wherever you are, you're not going to see two rotations with your naked eye. Impossible, because the sky moves uniformly. So if you can see Orion, everybody out there, wherever you're at tonight, tomorrow night, whatever, if it's clear, get an app out. If you don't know what Orion looks like, if you don't know how to see Orion's belt, get an app out, find Orion. If you can see Orion, you are looking at both the northern and the southern rotation. The northern rotation is up towards his hands, where Beetlejuice and Beatrix are. And then the southern rotation is at his feet. So if you can see Orion, you've got both rotations. So if you're looking at that with your naked eye, you're not going to see the sky in two rotations, because of the way I put it is, it's like trying to see the rotors on a helicopter with your naked eye. Not going to do it. You got to get a camera that's got frames per second that you can see each of the rotors. So the only time you're going to see the celestial rotation is with star trails, or if you are doing astronomical studies and you're mapping out the star trails. I don't know how or when somebody first discovered that there were two rotations, because you're not going to see it with your naked eye. You have to plot out some star in the south and see that it's moving in an arc, and some star in the north and see that it's moving in an opposite arc. And then you're going, wait a minute, what the heck? We've got two different directions. And I don't mean two different directions in the sense that they're moving opposite each other, like like one's moving towards the other and one's moving against. They're both moving east to west, of course. But my point is that there's two separate reference points.
That's wild, man. Have you ever been down south of the equator?
I have, but I wasn't in this mindset. I was like 2004. I was in Lima, Peru, and never looked up once.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Never looked up once, man.
I know. I want to get down there, out there, and observe the sky myself.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This field is wide open. This field is scientifically wide the Smurf open.
Yeah, I don't know. I started on the sky, and I just came to the realization that I'm never going to figure it out. Like what they actually are. Yeah, it is. Well, it's fun for a while, believe me. I had a great time, but eventually you can drive yourself kind of mad if you're really dedicated and you want to figure it out and that's your goal.
Yeah.
Don't just enjoy it. Just enjoy the beauty and the wonder.
Right. Oh,
Don't drive yourself insane trying to, I think that's one of the lessons here is, things aren't always what they seem. And some things you're never going to know what they actually are. At least not in these meat suits. We just don't get to know everything.
Hey, did you guys see you might not have, but I had one footage that was longer, and then I clipped out the other one where I have the UFO. Did you see that clip? UFO sighting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
What do you think it was?
I have no idea, man. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's like, oh, it's a drone. I'm like, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I have never seen a drone in the daytime. That's not a drone. And it's like just this firefly zigzag. But it was blue. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've caught some weird stuff. People were saying it was a meteor, things like that, shooting star, this and that.
Yeah.
But it was like on 2 different frames. So it had to be like 5 seconds apart. And it's just this big, long, wide streak, and then it just disappeared after 2 frames of the shot.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not a plane.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. I had some streaks of light that were solid and then disappeared. Like, where'd it go?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Because you got the flight paths of certain airplanes in there. They don't disappear. They just have iterations of lights. Beep, beep, beep. But then you've got this star trail. This.
Well, and it's a constant. It's like the lights down the highway. When you shoot an airplane, and a time lapse, it's like dot, 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 going straight across in a straight line.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you'll see just this one for a couple pictures that were taken, and planes don't do that. They're not moving that fast.
Right. Yeah, and I got a couple of them that had these crazy 30-degree angle changes or something. Just wonk. I'm going to go in a different direction. Like, how? What was that?
Have you ever looked through night vision at the night sky?
No. But I've heard all the stories about being blown out of your socks. Just having your mind.
It's crazy, man. Every time I look up, I don't do it that much anymore. Very rarely, unless there's something special going on. But yeah, I have a little night vision monocle, and you can see some really weird stuff just about every single night.
Oh, that would be kind of weird. A monocle. So your one eye sees normal, and you're looking with the other eye at the. That would be kind of weird, I think.
Well, it's not like Mr. Monopoly monocle lens that you just kind of hold up to your eye. It's like a handheld scope, like a spotter scope.
Yeah.
And it's got the recharge pump, so you basically squeeze it, right? You squeeze the scope. Was it 4 or 5 good times, and that charges up the night vision, and you can use it for like 10 minutes or something, Zach?
One pump is about 2 minutes. But yeah, no batteries included. It's just got this hand pump on it.
Huh. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you're not going to find one now.
Oh, no?
This was from the 90s. And then the military bought out the patent after 1 year.
Of course they did.
Now they're up to like phase 3 or phase 4. This was phase 1, they called it. Now they're putting stuff in the boots of like Navy SEALs. They have a thing, every step they take, it'll charge up their battery packs.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. They don't even feel it. They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But everything on like their suits now can be charged just by them moving around. They have suits now that you don't even have to step, just by bending your arm or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's all to do with the crystals and what's it called? Piezoelectricity. The bending of crystals, like quartz.
Yeah.
Put pressure on it, and just by squeezing a quartz crystal, you're creating an electric current.
Wow. Yeah, I think I remember Cammie saying something about that before. I was listening to some show she was on.
Yeah, so now they're having suits that they put these like bendy parts in your elbows, wrists, all the joints that bend. And when you bend, move, it's bending these little, they're not like real big, thick pieces or anything. They're small, but just every time you bend them and move them, it creates a charge, and then they collect it in their battery packs. It's awesome. I mean, they should have these things in every road.
Yeah.
Along the side of every road, at least. People walking up and down the road, you could charge the streetlights. You would never have to pay for electricity for any of that stuff.
That's hilarious.
They're starting to do it over in actually Eastern Europe, of all places.
I mean, why couldn't you feed it right into the grid? Why couldn't you just pay for all electricity that way? Not just the street lights, but there's enough traffic running 24/7. You should be able to keep that shit just pumping.
Same reason why we have big pharma, man.
We could put these things along the shorelines, and the waves crashing on them could constantly create electricity for us. We could put them under the sand. You wouldn't even have to see this stuff.
You guys are talking like there's free energy out there. What are you talking about?
I mean, to not realize that this place, there's so much energy around us that's just being let off and released everywhere. Water moving. Just there's so much stuff. The wind blowing. And, like you've seen wind farms, right?
Yeah.
You drive a lot. Well, 3 blades is the worst setup you could pick for gathering the wind.
Okay.
So why is every single wind farm I've ever seen have 3-bladed fans?
For the birds.
Is it all for
So
show, you think?
I think they're making it get less electricity on purpose than they actually should be getting.
Sure. And then charging you more for it anyway. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because then there's less of it. They can charge you more for it. Exactly. Supply and demand.
Yeah, damn it. You know what, guys? I thought about this a couple years ago. Like, why can't we go old school again, create a cell phone that's radio based and just, walkie-talkie style. So I mean, it's like, to a certain extent, like, you could go back to a flip phone, right? So some people are like, I don't need the internet. I'm just going to use the wireless capabilities, but I'm going to have an old school flip phone. Okay, well, take it even farther back than that. Just go back to radio and just have wireless communication that way. Why can't we, or someone, not me, because I'd still be naked and walking around barefoot. If technology was up to me, I'd be like, I'm naked and I don't know what a wheel is.
Amen.
I can't even help you.
I'm the same way.
So someone else has got to do this. But look, why can't we do that?
Why indeed? And I do believe that brings us to the close of the first segment here on the Ironworks. Right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Stick around. We got the second half of the first half coming up after this. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Blame. I engaged in this the big share of my life until I met Mr. Show. I used to blame my negative relatives. I used to blame the government. I used to blame taxes. I used to blame prices. I said, it costs too much. Show said, no, let's cover the real problem. You can't afford it. I thought, wow. I never looked at it like that before. Shoaff said, sir, you must intellectually understand. It's not it that's your problem. It's you that's your problem. It's not out there that's the problem. Out there is like it's been for 6,000 years. You can't cure that. But what you can cure is errors in judgment, errors in attitude, errors in activity, errors in misjudging results. I found that the errors were within. But see, he had to go after me on that point.
It's amazing how people have been raving about iLife all over Facebook. They've been posting their testimonials just because they want to get the word out because it's worked so well for them. If you're not familiar with iLife, it's a 99% pure CBD oil, but the secret is the synergy between the hemp and the ayahuasca vine, the non-psychoactive component of the ayahuasca tea. We recently received an email from a wife whose husband has Parkinson's. For the first time, he's been able to sleep through the entire night. Another customer reported that they're no longer using NSAIDs because their tennis elbow has been relieved with iLife. The reports have been phenomenal and much more than we ever expected. Everyone should have access to this. That's why if you head on over to iLife.com right now and use coupon code TFR, we'll give you $5 towards your order. And we'll even ship it worldwide. That's iLife.com. AYALife.com.
True initiation is an inward journey. It's a spiritual path that is totally inward. It has nothing to do with anything external to you.
I want to determine if the Grand Architect is indeed what I believe it to be, which is the artificial intelligence.
The initiatory path is one of self-discovery and self-revealing. It's not a journey that someone can hold your hand through.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you through the steps of initiation. Remember, you are divinity.
Step Beyond the Veil with Chris and Sherry Gio. Fridays and Saturdays, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
This
is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
All right, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Well, pitter patter, let's get at her.
Time to make the donuts.
Wake up, it's a brand new day.
And welcome back for the second half of the first half of the Ironworks, kicking off right now. We are joined this morning with Travis Finley. He's got a YouTube channel called The Plain Truth. And
as opposed to A Plain Truth,
right,
Jamie Lee,
which is
or
Jamie.
just plain truth.
Right. But if you do search for my channel, if you're not already subscribed, and shame on you, you're gonna have to scroll through tons of golf tutorials for some reason called The Plain Truth. So if you don't know what my channel is, if you put in karaoke with your search, that'll take you right to me.
There you go. Yeah, and you changed your avatar, I noticed.
Not on The Plain Truth.
Okay, is that just on Skype and stuff like that?
Yeah, just Skype, I guess. Yeah, I think the Skype is is my new font that was helpfully created by our illustrious commenting text friend Alexander Lightwater. Shout out to Alexander, who's been a helpful companion friend along this discussion. You know, he's been on my streams and emailing and all that kind of stuff with these observations and whatnot. Anyway, so I want to try to take a step in a new direction and create a photography business that I'm going to call Aetherband Photography. So
nice.
That's my icon.
Hey, if you want a few thousand pictures of plants and animals and bugs and sunsets, dude, I've been looking for someone to just give these to.
No, please don't. No.
I have a pretty good eye. I take some alright pictures.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. My photography.
I just want someone to use them.
Yeah, I get you. Well, you know, I suppose keep that on the back burner if something happens and I've got a place in the future for nature productions. But Aetherband Photography is more about capturing people unawares. So the first time I thought about this, I was camping out on the Rincon Parkway in Ventura doing my Channel Islands shoots. So I was camping, and this young couple next to me were taking selfies of each other with their iPhone. And so I said, "Hey, I've got a camera right here. You guys, I could take pictures of you guys together. That way, you don't have to not be in the picture if he's taking a picture of you or whatever." I said, "Why don't you walk down the beach and then turn around and come back?" So I shot them all the way down. They were walking away, and I was shooting their feet. I was taking them off center, blah, blah, blah. And they turned around, and they're talking to each other. So it was beautiful. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Like, man, I could make money off this. But
yeah, those are some of the best pictures I think I've ever seen, is when the people aren't even aware that they're being photographed.
Yeah.
They're like in deep thought, or they're conversing with someone else.
Yeah. Except
the trick is you got to you don't try to take a picture like so much framing it. It's take a picture, 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 and you can catch like all these different facial expressions.
Yeah.
The same people 2 seconds apart, and they could look happy in one picture, and then they could look like they're fighting in the next.
Exactly. So Aetherband Photography is the brand, and then Candid Memories is that aspect of what I would do. So I was shooting the Chesapeake early in November, and I was just happened to be panning to the left where the dock is, where people come out, public access, and people fish and whatever. And there's these two lovers holding hands and giving each other kisses. So I start clicking away. I'm like, that's awesome, because the backdrop was this full autumnal display of the trees. So the background was on fire, and they were on fire. So then they came off and started walking towards me, and I'm like, I said, look, this is gonna sound creepy, but I told them what happened, and I said, I give me your email address and I'll send them to you. They loved it. They're like,
that's awesome.
they said this just happens to be our 1 month anniversary. I'm like,
no
well, there you
way.
go. Yeah. So I got them giving.
Synchronicities.
I know, right? So I got them giving each other kisses and looking at each other and saying things. It was beautiful.
Without even knowing they were being photographed.
Yep. So to take out the creepy factor,
Too late.
You hire me, right? You hire me to do these photographs. So like, I'm being candid. Like, the idea is if you're two lovers and your anniversary is coming up, and you say, look, we want to go down to Atlantic City, and we want you to be our photographer. I'm like, great, I'll follow you around for a couple hours. And the idea is I'm there, but I'm not. And I'm snapping pictures of you guys, and I'm going to catch you unawares every single time.
And make it so they don't know what you look like till after you're done.
That would be even more interesting, I suppose.
Because people are gonna be looking for the guy with the camera.
The self-conscious, kind of looking around. Yeah, I get you. Well, anyway, that's my brainchild there. But I do have the Aetherband channel, or the Aetherband.com, and then I made a separate page for this business. So if you go to the Aetherband.com, on the menu up on top, Candid Memories is the first menu tab, and I've got I've got 4 subjects that gave me positive feedback email, and so I use those as my advertisements for the product that I've put out so far. So
I like it, man. It sounds good. It resonates.
Yeah, I think so.
And you probably just created 2 soulmates with that syncretism who just said, well, damn it, this whole thing is just meant to be. Because we've got all these memories from our 1 month anniversary. I mean, what are the odds that this would happen for us as a couple on our 1 month anniversary? This must be a sign.
Sure. I get you.
Maybe that's how you should do it. Instead of have people pay you ahead of time. I know it's not the greatest business idea.
Right. No, I get you.
But go take pictures of couples like that, and then approach them afterward and say, hey,
yeah,
I do this business, blah, blah, blah. If you'd like, some candid pictures of yourselves being affectionate.
Yeah, they're like, please.
Yeah. Wait, Dean HD says, yeah, you're pretty much like you'd be a paid stalker.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, my sister was telling me, because I was telling her about my idea, and my sister said, I've seen a guy on Instagram that does that, but I didn't follow up, so I don't know if he actually does that, because I've done that with a couple other people. So again, shooting on Ventura, I was at Emmawood, which is just about 4 miles south of the Rincon, and a woman was there with her grandson and her dog, and she's taking pictures of the grandson. Well, she's not in the photographs. So I start clicking away because she's laughing and smiling and, great. And she was beautiful. And so after she was all done and wrapping up, I walked up to her. I said, "Hey, don't want to sound like a creeper, but this is what I was doing." Sent them to her. I actually made her a video because I shot the sunset. So I put all the pictures together in a collage or montage with the sunset in the middle, and then played one of Alex's conspiracy music gurus, one of his True Solfeggio songs. So it was a 7-minute video with Alex's music and sent it to her. So yeah, I get you. But you gotta, people are weird. Some people will be like, "Yeah, that's really cool," and I've gone up to some people and like, "What the fuck? Like, get away from me, you creeper! What are you talking about? I don't want you taking pictures of me." Did I lose you guys?
Nope, I'm sitting here talking on mute. Sorry.
Okay.
Has anybody ever come up and said, "You can't take my picture? That's illegal. I didn't give you permission."
Yeah,
okay.
Not yet.
I figured that'd be coming.
Yeah.
Those First Amendment auditors have everybody educated now, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Trav.
I hope so. I'd love to see something come of it. Actually, if you don't mind me talking again. So I was in California, and where my grandmother lives up the canyon, there's a property 3/4 of a mile south of her, and my mom was telling me about it. And then one night we heard the music, and she said, "Why don't we go down and check it out?" So we walked down the road, and I took my camera with, and they were having a rodeo. And there was a mariachi band, and so we met the hostess and the owner of the property. She was like in her 30s. Her husband was like 39. They bought the property and turned it into a family hangout place with a rodeo pit. And they had friends and family come over, and there were like trailers with horses, cowboys, these Latinos, Hispanics, and like mariachi, like I said. And there was a guy there who was cooking the food. KO Tacos, Knockout Tacos. His name was Ruben, and I gave him my business card because I made up business cards for Either Band Photography. He's like, "Man, I was just at this party up in Ojai at this beautiful house, and when I got there, they said to me, 'Hey, do you know a photographer?'" So I'm like, "Oh man, this would be beautiful to have this relationship with this guy if he ever does a party." And he says, "Hey, do you guys need a photographer? I can bring someone with me." Oh my goodness. So, is somebody on mute? Because I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been living on mute. Which cameras do you shoot with? Just P900?
I only have the 2 Saunders. So I would love to get something a little bit more classical,
Isn't that a pain in the butt, carrying that thing around on your neck?
Well, I haven't gotten to the point to where I've had an uncomfortable experience with it. No. What do you mean?
Like the weight of it. That thing doesn't weigh down your neck when you're walking around with it?
It's only the 900. It's not the 1000. I have thousands that much.
Well, the 900's like 2 pounds.
Okay. So look, I like when I'm shooting the islands and the Chesapeake, I'm not walking around carrying it. So most.
No, but you're saying, when you were doing this one, you just walked around with your feet. Because I've noticed that. I have the P610.
Okay.
And then we have Bob has the 1000, and then I think 2 1000s. One's an infrared. But man, even the 900, when I was taking lots of pictures, me and Just Jack went out taking pictures. And after like an hour, he was like, "Dude, I got to just take this camera off my neck for a minute."
I don't know. I carry it in my hand. I don't carry it around my neck.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm no Jimmy Olsen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a big camera.
Or I'm no Peter Parker, if that makes it relevant.
No, I was good with Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, good. Figured. Okay.
I just still picture you with a fedora with a little piece of paper that says press stuck in the hat band. Yeah.
Got my pipe in my mouth. Yeah.
So how has work been going, Trav? What
Okay, well,
area did you cover?
that's the longer story that I didn't tell you that was in my stream from yesterday morning. But yeah, I'm driving. I've been on and off with this company, starting and stopping, trying to figure what the hell to do with my life. But right now, I'm back in the saddle and trying to figure out how to, I guess, get enough seed money. Like looking back, I took time off back in February and used my savings to live off of, and was just really working on research with the Aether band. And if I could go back and change the way I did things back then, I would completely, hindsight's 2020. So whatever I did back then, I'm sure has some profit to where I'm at right now with my research and videos that I did put out at the time. I'm not knocking that, but I am trying to figure out how to segue out of trucking. I do not want to be doing this for the rest of my life. So
I could understand that. Well, how long have you been doing it? You've been doing it a long time.
well, I'm not that old school, but I, like I said, I don't sleep well. So when the weekend comes, my body's like, yeah, catch me up, bro. Catch me up on this, man. We got to get some good Z's. And like Adam Meekin, Adam, I'm so sorry. I love you, man. Like I still have to do an interview with Adam. And when the weekend comes, I'm just like, I do not want to sit down and do this interview. I just don't want to do this. Like I'm not mentally sharp. I don't feel creative. And I don't want to do so my Red Hen Radio, which is what I would put Adam's interview on. Josh is on there, Walt's on there, Crow's on there. I think I do a pretty decent job as an interviewer, and I would really love to get that back up and going, but trucking just does not, for me, make my mental acuity that sharp when the weekend comes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy job.
And, I love doing it, right? I love doing the interviews. So it's not like I'm lazy in that sense, like, I don't want to pull weeds or I don't want to paint the fence. I don't even go out and take photographs sometimes. Like, I just don't want to go out and shoot.
Yeah, I know how that is. Sometimes it's just when your weeks are that busy, you need that time off to decompress and let your brain sort of reset.
Yeah. Now, it would be interesting, though, because, Josh, you have an obligation, so to speak, with this show. Like, I think it's almost like, doing your best work under pressure. Like, I write my best papers the night before, right? So you got to get up and do this show because it's a scheduled show, right? So my channels or whatever aren't obligatory. So I can just be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And it was that obligation that really made me question whether or not I even wanted to do it, because I am so unreliable. And I know that about myself. So I had to be able to mentally commit before I could verbally commit. And once I was able to mentally commit, then it's anxiety if I'm not on. But that's just because this is what I have committed to, and I don't want to not do something that I said that I would. And that's where that comes from. Now, that being said, we're not going to be having a Have No Sphere tonight. There will only be 2 shows this week here on the channel. I've got my company Christmas party tonight, kicking off at 6. So I don't think I'll be able to have much of a show before or after. So I think we're just going to take this week off. But for those of you that, for whatever reason, just can't not see me 3 times a week, I will be hanging out over on Mike LaBrash's channel doing another episode of T.H.C. this Sunday. So make sure you head on over there. For those of you that haven't noticed already, Travis's channel, The Plain Truth, is in the show description with the link, as well as the link for Mike's channel. So make sure you guys hit both of those links and subscribe to both and hit the bell notification for both. Sunday night, we're going to be talking actually a little bit of Flat Earth. T.H.C. is the Truther's Hour of Comedy. And last week the subject was 5G. And try as we could, we just couldn't seem to make 5G funny.
Yeah, not too much humor in any of it, really.
No. But this week, however, I've been trying to sift back through some of my old files, finding some good Flat Earth memes. And there's so many that I remember being out there that I just don't seem to have anymore, or maybe I didn't collect. So if you guys want to give me a hand and send me the prime, the cream of the crop of, if not funny, then informative Flat Earth memes, I will share and display them this Sunday over there on THC, on Michael Brash's channel, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to just be sharing some good, funny Flat Earth memes, telling funny Flat Earth stories, things like that, trying to keep it lighthearted side of Flat Earth. So I think that's really going to be a good time. Oh, look at this. Is it Callum pumping them in already? That's what I like to see. Dig it.
I will ask Bob. I know Bob has like hours of just like a video of nothing but Flat Earth memes that he'll play in the back of Glowbusters while they're talking.
Oh, perfect.
Hey,
you can go through there, just pick them all out. What's up, Trav?
So the moon is right on the horizon right now, and the Terminator line is on the top at 12 o'clock, which is totally crazy. Like, to me, that's really, really interesting because most of our observations of it is a vertical angle with, degrees of change there. But this is like riding on top at a horizontal position. That just always blows my mind with thinking about the ball model.
Have you looked into the Wagon Wheel?
Yeah, someone said that you did a video, and I still have to watch that. But yes, I have had conversations with Adam on the Wagon Wheel. I understand that explanation. Yeah,
I think we can prove that the Earth isn't a ball just by taking measurements of these different rotations of either the moon or the sun from 45 degrees north and 45 degrees south. They should be the exact same on the ball model, but on a flat Earth model, it wouldn't work like that. The arc would be much bigger. It's not, on a sphere on both the poles, it wouldn't rotate at all. But if you don't have the southern pole and it's just a big outside circle, then it would be different. So I think I need to do this video. I've been thinking about it. I'm going to get the measuring tapes out and all that kind of stuff and tape up some stuff on my ceiling and get some real pictures of exactly how much rotation we should see and how much difference. And maybe that'll light a fire under some people's butts, because all we really need is southern. And we have so many time lapses and, of the northern. I mean, we got the northern covered. I just need to find someone who's done it in the south. I think we
got Lucas down there, isn't he down there? And then there's like other guys that I know. There's Ross. He used to be what was he, Flat Earth Aussie Jesus or something like that? What's he now? He's like Ironworx.
Ironworx, yeah, he's in
Ross.
the chat. Yep. Ross is in chat right now.
Down there.
Yeah, we'll get it done. I want to get all the data, the actual physical, to know exactly how much we should see or not see, and then I'll look for someone to help. But yeah, I just want to make sure that everything's, all the T's are crossed and stuff.
Right, yeah, for sure. Since we're talking a little bit about the sun and the moon, the full solar eclipse that happened earlier this month, right? So to me, this makes absolutely no sense, right? So
it lasted 2 minutes long.
Well, okay, but my point is that here in the north, I could have looked up with my app and see, because it was the new moon, right? So the moon wasn't visible. So I could find where the moon was on my app and look up and see where the moon is and the sun is. Okay. Now think about this with me and correct me if I'm wrong. If we think about parallax, the sun and the moon are in the sky. You're telling me that if I moved far enough south, the parallax would have moved the moon in front of the sun. That's what they don't tell us, right? They're like, yeah, there's a full solar eclipse, but it's only visible south of Argentina, extreme south. Like that's the only place it's going to be able to be visible. They're like, okay, but if you think about the ball model, if you think about the fact that the sun is 93 million miles away and the moon is 238,000 miles away, so it's a great distance from the Earth, and you're looking up at the sky, you're not going to see parallax, right?
Not like
you
that.
Don't ever see.
No.
Right, exactly. But you're telling me that if I jumped in a plane real quick and went down far enough south, I'm going to move that moon in front of the sun? I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Have you seen the eclipse?
No, I didn't follow up. You mean the images of the one that happened? No.
Yeah, no, there's video of it because it only lasted 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, this next break is only going to last 2.5-ish minutes also. And that does bring us to a close on the first half of the Ironworks. Stick around. We got hour number 2 right after
Censorship
this.
and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
We have gone from America first to America last. Democrats are vicious. None of this is true.
Who would have thought that within 33 days we'd be bombing the Middle East? You can French kiss the guy next to you, yelling abolish the police.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump!
Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump!
We take great pride in our country. We teach the truth about history, and we reject left-wing lunacy.
Put the mask on! That's not funny! Put the mask on! Because ain't nobody having fun while the socialists are in charge.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump!
Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump! By the way, in Washington, D.C., Bernie is wearing mittens. Castro now wants a gender-neutral Mr. Tailhead.
Fortunately.
The best is yet to come. 3, 2, 1.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump!
Who will that be?
Donald Trump!
Who will that be?
President Trump!
Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Good morning. Here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand. Wake up!
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. There was one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard. Thank
God it's Friday.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Ironworks, kicking off right now. We are Sans Walter, still fully stronger,
Get better,
faster,
Uncle Walt.
better than he was before.
You'll be the $6,000 man.
That's right. Shout out to everybody there in chat too. I see lots of new faces in chat, which is always surprising and heartwarming.
Weird. Love y'all. Yeah, did you see that photo I just dropped in chat? The Ironworks chat there, Josh?
I did not.
Could you go check that out and share that with the people out there? I'll explain it to the people on the radio. It's a picture of the eclipse that just happened in Antarctica. Now, if you go and watch a video, it only took 2.5 minutes for the moon to pass all the way by the sun, right? 2.5 minutes. Now, eclipses, when they happen around us, usually take a lot longer than that. A lot longer. Well, if you look at this picture that we're showing, this is from NASA's website. They say this is a picture of the eclipse. The shadow is like 800 miles wide. Now, the eclipse in 2017, the shadow was 72 miles across. It was measured, verified. So how can something that causes a shadow 72 miles wide at one point cause another shadow that's 700 miles wide? I don't understand that. And how could it only last 2 minutes?
That's wild. That is absolutely wild. Why isn't this like ringing the bell?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, you mention stuff, it sticks or it falls off the wall. So, but yeah, it's blatantly obvious that it's a lie. Whatever they're showing there.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have thought about this, and I think I'm original for myself, but the last lunar eclipse was red, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it
then,
wasn't supposed to be.
Okay, well, but then 2 years ago, I remember shooting the eclipse and talking about the impossibility of the eclipse. I think it was even with Adam Meakin and you guys maybe talking about the impossibility of it because of the position and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the redness of the eclipse was caused because it was Mars that was passing in front of them. Mars is red, and if we went back and looked and see where Mars was on the zodiac at the time, I'm just saying.
Wow, that's an interesting idea. The
right?
planets are actually doing the occulting.
Yeah, right. So then that's why you've got the the black hole sun, or whether or not that's not the right term, but the Vedic. What's the Vedic's?
K2 and
Rahu, right? Jinx, you owe me a Coke. But or I should say, you owe me a toke. But
anytime,
my brother. Hey, listen, I have had the best movie watching experience at 420. I watched Dazed and Confused for the first time, and man, I loved that film.
Isn't that good?
Absolutely loved it. I remember watching that film and just like smiling the whole time. There was a scene when they were at the pool hall and the young kid was outside talking to the girl, and the camera movement moved away from them so subtly, like they're having a conversation, and then the camera just leaves them and goes to the next place, and I'm like, that was amazing. And I was just like totally tripping out on it. And every single time I've like watched a new movie, I've watched it baked.
They don't do it.
What?
The new directors are so bad. Have you noticed this?
Well, it depends. Some of them are still have flair to them, but
some of them, it's like the older ones. These newer directors, though, it's like they don't go back and watch any of these older directors and how amazing they are at just placing the camera and then panning, things like that.
I don't know. It's so subtle these days because of the post-production capabilities. Just watch a few videos on cuts every creator should know, or every videographer should know, and they teach you how to blend these motions. So a lot of times, unless you are really trained, subtle things like starting the audio from the next scene in the scene before, so you're still looking at one scene but you hear the audio from the next. It's just those subtle transitions that just you don't even really pick up, and it goes both ways with the audio. And then when they use foreground objects to hide the swipe, there are so many really good cuts and edits for scene transitions that it's just, unless you really know how to see them and the combinations that they use, it's insane, the stuff that they do with that camera work.
So Zach, to put a point on challenging your criticism, if you haven't seen the movie, well, I guess he's old school, so I'm going to take that back because the director is old school. So I'm going to take that back because he's not new. But if you haven't seen the movie, everybody out here, if you have not seen the movie, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, you have to watch that movie. It is.
Is that the one with the two kids driving around?
Amazing. Well, no, not necessarily, but it was written and directed by the guy that did Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I can't remember his name right now, but he's an old school veteran. But this movie is just amazing. So I was thinking of camera movements. There were a few camera movements in there. I was just like, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. But,
I've noticed as I've gotten older, I look more at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The storyline isn't so important to me nowadays. The action and all that kind of stuff. Even the acting. You know, I mean, if it's bad acting, usually that's not a great producer doing it anyway. But I'm focusing more on like the making of the movie and how they, you know, it's like David Weiss and his Small Hat Magic, how he adds in the music and the nice thumbnail and all this stuff. It's kind of seeing it from that point of view of a production. Like, are you actually taking the time to to zoom in and show their eyes when this is being said, and all those little tiny nuances that only last like a second or two, but they make the movie 10 times better. Just these little tiny variations. I love it.
Yeah, there's a fantastic reaction channel called James versus Cinema, and he's a film grad student, and so he watches films that he's never seen before. So he just watched Misery. He just watched his recent one. Just watched the Stanley Kubrick's Doctor Strangelove, right? But he does that. So he breaks down as a film student. He's like, "Oh man, this and this and this, and I can't wait to make my first movie." So he would be somebody, right, Zach, who would be totally new school, who's watching all the old schools. Like what he would do, hopefully, would be just amazing.
Yeah, there's some really great directors out there. And I mean, there's always going to be new upcoming people that are doing amazing new stuff. But really, I mean, you got to kind of build off of, stand on the shoulders of these other giants and kind of take lesson from them.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I know everybody wants to make their own mark, but if you want to, do it right, and then add your mark to that, if that makes any sense.
Oh, definitely. So the case in point for me would be Orson Welles with Citizen Kane. Okay, so if you aren't familiar, oh man, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but brother, listen. Okay, so here's my recommendation. A brand new film came out with Gary Oldman as the lead. Just a fantastic cast. It was directed by David Fincher, Fight Club guy, right?
Wait, Gary Oldman. You're not talking about...
Yeah, I am.
Arnold?
What do you mean, Arnold? The movie? No.
What you talking about, Willis?
The movie I'm talking about is called Mank. M-A-N-K.
No,
that's Gary Coleman.
Who is Gary? Oh, I'm thinking Gary Coleman. Okay, sorry. I was like, wait a minute. What? Gary Coleman?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Okay. You recognize Gary Oldman if you saw him.
Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is an old school British actor. But anyway, so Mank is on Netflix right now. Watch it. Okay, so it gives you the backstory to the writing of Citizen Kane. So I had never seen Citizen Kane, and if you're a film, geek at all, Citizen Kane is like the best movie ever, right? So I had never seen it, so I'm flipping through Netflix. I thought the movie was called Mark because it was in handwriting. The title was in handwriting, so I was called Mark. But all I saw was Gary Oldman, so I clicked it. Dude, I was just blown away. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But there's also a late 90s film called RKO 182, I think. RKO 182, which is about the same storyline, about the making of Citizen Kane. And it's got a fantastic all-star cast. HBO put it out. Fantastic all-star cast. So I got the backstory before I watched the original film. So then I ended up watching Citizen Kane. Now, I thought Citizen Kane was a good movie. I don't think it's the best movie ever made. But my point was Orson Welles was 24 years old. And he was given carte blanche. Wow. He was given carte blanche by RKO because they were sinking in like the late 30s, financially sinking. And he had just gained his notoriety on radio with War of the Worlds debacle, right? So he was the voice of radio, but he wrote, directed, starred in this movie. And when you watch the backstory, it's just really amazing because he does that. He basically watched all of the previous directors' movies to see he's like, what lens are they using? Why are they doing this lighting? And it's like he had all this stuff. So then he was groundbreaking in his making of Citizen Kane. So absolutely make that your next binge. 3 movies in a row: Mank, RKO 182, and then Citizen Kane.
Can I start with Citizen Kane?
Yeah, sure. Whatever. If I could go back and do it that way, it would be interesting to see how I processed it the other way. Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. I
Yeah,
might watch
but
it.
oh man, it's so good. Like, you guys know it, right? For my whole life, Rosebud, right? You guys know that line, that quote?
Nope.
Do you? No? Okay. Well, that's like the infamous, like, Rosebud, like, code word, like deep throat. It's like this word. It's like, what does it mean? So the whole movie is like, what is Rosebud? What is this? And when you learn, because you don't learn the backstory of the meaning of the term, the double entendre, until you watch the other movies. But so it's just,
they never really tell you what it is in the
I'll
movie.
just leave it at that.
Wow. Kind of like Kaiser Soze without Kaiser Soze telling you who he is.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yep, gonna have to go watch it.
And anybody that hasn't seen The Usual Suspects, everyone should check that one out too.
Yeah. I did a reference to Kevin Spacey's at the end when he goes, poof, he's gone.
Yeah.
I think in one of my live streams yesterday.
Yeah, who did that one? Was that
The director? I know,
Scorsese?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
I'll go look it up here real quick.
In the meantime, though, Josh, did you see my TikTok plug there?
I did not.
In the chat, go back up to the chat before Zach's posted of his picture. Since you plugged my show, I was going to ask you to plug my TikTok. I just discovered TikTok.
I've still never been on it.
Brian Singer directed Usual Suspects.
Yeah, Brian Singer. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I've still never been on TikTok.
Well, neither have I. Neither had I, right? I got a really close friend, and he's like, dude, do you watch TikTok? I'm like, no. I'm not 13. But for whatever reason, I was like, man, I wish I could make shorts. Because YouTube has 15 seconds, right? You can only do shorts, and you have to have a certain quotient before you can move up. So I thought, wow, TikTok does shorts. So like 2 days ago, I just started like posting. I like 17 videos out where I'm just blasting 30-second shorts, 3-minute shorts, just riffing on Coriolis, riffing on Flat Earth. And I've gotten quite a number of views. But before I can go live, I have to have 1,000 subs. So I'm trying to push that. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I just like discovered, which is the same thing that happened with YouTube. Like, I never watched YouTube before I discovered Flat Earth. I was always just listening to audio books and driving, right? Just listening to music and audiobooks. And then when Flat Earth came along, I went to YouTube and I'm like, man, there's actually content on YouTube? Because I thought YouTube was like TikTok, just kids putting up stupid stuff.
And you can get better than a college education here on YouTube. And it used to even be better. It really did.
Yeah.
It seems like with all this censorship now, they censor everything. It's not just, Flat Earth or Corona or any of this stuff. They're censoring, there's this guy, T.H.C. Anthony, he used to be. But you could type his name in, spell it perfectly, and it still wouldn't pop up. And all he did was talk about cannabis, turning it into medicine, showing people how to do that. And yeah, it was after Flat Earth started, but like, okay, Fibonacci sequence. I noticed that back in 2011, you could find 100 videos on the Fibonacci sequence. And then before Flat Earth, like 2014, most of those videos were gone. You couldn't find a one of them. So I noticed the censorship on other things even before Flat Earth and that censorship started. YouTube's been censoring probably from day one. Anybody putting out real truth that's detrimental to the system, I think YouTube has always been censoring that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy the matrix we live in, man. It's not just the Hegelian dialect, it's everything. It's media, Google,
Everything.
all that stuff, man. Every single thing, the way that I heard it said, and it makes sense. That if you anything that makes the news nationwide or worldwide, most likely is scripted. But the creation of Google, the idea of Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and all that stuff's scripted, man. That stuff was all put into place, and we just think that it's a natural symbiosis of synchronicity, like Facebook and Tesla, all that stuff. They constructed every single one of those things.
I see Tesla being out of business within the next decade.
Yeah, intentionally so, right?
Oh yeah.
They bring it in, they phase it out. Oh, just
pump and dump, baby. Pump and dump.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. You never know what can happen in this world. Yeah, you guys know because you're right. It's not predictive programming. I don't know if you guys have thought about this. Okay, it's not predictive programming. It's programmed programming.
Yeah.
They're not predicting.
There's no prediction about it.
They're not predicting it. Yeah, they're writing it. Yeah, exactly.
100%. There is no anything you see, like you said, anything on the news is pretty much almost as scripted as the movies that you're watching.
Well, just even think about my TikTok videos. When you watch, like if you go to the TikTok and you watch that one, that's like take 7.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So my first take, I'm like, I don't like that. For the second take, I don't like that. So by the 7th one, I know exactly what I want to do. It's like what Mark Twain said. It takes me 2 weeks to write a spontaneous speech. Right?
That guy had some of the greatest quotes.
I think
my favorite
improvised or something like that.
My favorite Mark Twain quote was, "If voting could make a difference, they wouldn't let us do it."
Yeah.
I think that says it all right there. Less than 50% of the United States population votes.
Really?
I mean, they said, what's his name? Brandon or Biden? He had 80 million votes, the most in history.
Right. Yeah.
Multiply 80 times 2, and that comes up to 160 million. And that's not even half the population of the United States.
Yeah. Okay.
So how is this system working at all when less than half the people vote?
Well, I mean, come on, you don't need the full population voting. You just need the majority of whoever does vote.
Or the loudest minority.
Yeah, but I'm just saying their system is obviously broken. And people know that it's broken, and that's why they don't even waste their time to go vote.
Well, if it were the system that we were taught, if it were this grand experiment for freedom that we're all taught it was, then it would be broken for sure. But again, I think it's all running exactly as it's designed to.
Right. Yeah, democracy is just veiled tyranny. The majority rules is just veiled tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I don't want to do this, but the majority says I have to, that's tyranny.
2 wolves and a sheep voting what to have for dinner? Is that another Mark Twain? Who's that?
Yeah, probably. Or Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin, that's the other one I might have been in my brain.
Absolutely right.
And even then, this is where it gets tricky, is proof of jurisdiction.
Yeah. I had this talk last night. I did a show on it. I riffed on legal law and all that last night on The Plain Truth. But yeah, absolutely.
What even makes you think that your president has anything to do with me? Especially if I didn't vote.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if my guy lost. Then I'd be like, all right, well, my guy lost in this system that I've agreed to play in. But if I'm not even playing, how are you going to make me abide by your rules? Don't tell me that you want to be the race car and I've got to be the fucking shoe. I'm over here reading a book, bitch. Just leave me out of it. Just leave me alone.
I know. Leave me the F alone. If these guys want to dance your dance, let them. Bother you. Ticket them. Leave me the Smurf alone. Exactly. Yeah.
So I was watching a video yesterday on Portugal. And it seems like Portugal with Brazil did the same thing that England did with the United States.
Uh-oh. We better have to tease that a little bit because I think we're going to hit this last break here in just about 15 seconds.
Okay.
So
well, yeah, we'll talk about Portugal and how Brazil got started. Get back.
How's that for a tease? Music's a tad hot, I will say. Anyway, this is the Ironworx Truth Frequency Radio. We'll be right back. Last segment coming up right after these messages. Stick around.
If you concentrate solely on your career, you can get a long way in your career. And I would say that that's a strategy that a minority of men preferentially do. That's all they do. They work like 70, 80 hours a week. They go flat out on their career. They're staking everything on the small probability of exceptional status in a narrow domain. It may be that unidimensionality is the price you have to pay to be exceptional at one thing, right? Because if you're going to be something like a genius level mathematician, you're in your lab all the time, you're working 70 hours a week or 80 hours a week, you're smart, you're dedicated, you're unidimensional, and that's how you get to beat all the other people who are doing that. It's the only way. But the problem is you don't get a life. Now, well, first of all, you're a rare person, and second, you're going to pay for it. But fine, more power to you. But it's a risky business to do that. You sacrifice a lot for it.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. But somewhere, we lost our way. Western culture is once again remembering the healing benefits of CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? IOLife is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to iolife.com now. That's AYA life.com.
For millennia, mankind has been searching for answers to the big questions, such as, where did the universe come from? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Are we alone? And just what the heck is the Sasquatch all about? I can't promise you answers, and neither can the Woo Crew, but they invite you to join them Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight in the UK, for Freaky Friday, exclusively on Truth Frequency Radio. Spirituality, multiverse, quantum mechanics, the occult, and so much conspiracy analysis that it will make your mind melt. Take my word for it. Freaky Friday. It's more than a show. It's a way of life. I'm Stephen Hawking, and I am proud to be a Wookiee.
hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Are you on the ball? Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Only 1999. Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Are you on the ball? Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Only 1999. Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Are you on the ball? Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Only 1999. Are you on the ball? Wow, what's this? Are you on the ball? Are you on the
Balls! And welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Ironworks. Don't mind me. I'm just mashing buttons over here.
There's a new one.
You'd be surprised the ones that I don't play. I've got so many fucking audio files. It's stupid.
So yeah, right before the break, I was talking about Portugal and how Brazil kind of got created is quite similar to how the United States got created. So Portugal, just like, like the Dutch, like the English, like all these, the Spanish, they went around the world making empires, starting colonies on different continents and then growing them from there. Well, the Portuguese, they used to rule over what is now known as Brazil. Back in the day, right? It even came to a point where the king of Portugal was run out of his own country by some invading force, and Brazil was named the capital, like one of the cities in Brazil was the capital city of Portugal now. They actually moved the capital from Europe to South America during that time. And then they won him back, and the king went back to Portugal. Well, his son stayed in Brazil. And the people in Brazil, kind of like the people in America, got fed up, like, hey, they're all the way across the ocean. Why are we paying taxes to these people? We don't need them anymore. It's pretty built up and established here. We can survive on our own. We don't need them. Well, the king's son decided to start the revolution. And I'm not 100% sure there was even a war. So his son was the guy who founded Brazil as a new country. Kind of like King George's nephew, George Washington, was the first president of our new nation here in America. So it's not really like a new nation was founded. I think this is like one of their game plans. They get a new area, if any of this is even true. I mean, it is his story. But they go there, they get established and built up, and they know that the people aren't going to allow to be ruled by somebody a couple thousand miles away. They know this. So they already have a system put in place to control the narrative of their revolutions. And these new countries being built. I mean, Brazil speaks Portuguese. Most of South America does. So did Portugal ever stop ruling over Brazil? In all reality, kind of like England is our banking system, Rome is our, religious branch, and then we're like the stick. I don't know. I just see too many similarities to just say, it's just happenstance that it happened that way.
Well, have you heard Crow 777's perspective on George Washington?
No, I don't think so.
He, Crow, thinks George Washington was King George.
Could have been. I don't know.
You know, like whoever saw King George, like, right, you know? So anybody who never saw what he looked like, hey, I'm George Washington. I'm the nephew of that guy.
Could have very well been. I mean, George Washington looked pretty old, didn't he?
Yeah, don't pay attention to the fact that both our names are George now.
Yeah, I wonder if Washington is even his real last name.
Right.
Why don't you just stay as president? Oh, I don't want to be a king.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, not me. I'm going to go back to farming. Just call me when you need me. I'll be here. Right over here, Virginia. Virginia.
I'm going to go chop down this cherry tree.
Oh, my gosh. You know, every once in a while, I'll have good little talks with my 16-year-old and my 14-year-old. Every once in a while, something will come up. History, education, science, and I'll get these little opportunities to just drop these little nuggets, you know. So trying to break this mold of mainstream education, science. Had a great conversation with my 16-year-old on the scientific method. You know, he was doing his homework or whatever, and he asked a question about something, and it just allowed me to challenge his understanding. Like, what is it? You know, what does the scientific method do? Like, how do you understand?
It's one of those things that too few people understand, I think. If you were to start breaking that down for every one of these bastards, it says, just follow the science. Don't question the science. What do you mean science? What's science? What?
Yeah, right.
Tell me, what is that?
Yeah.
And then just watch them blink
Fauci
at you.
Science?
Isn't what?
Isn't Fauci science? Didn't he say he speaks for science?
If you question him, you are questioning science itself, or something to that effect, I think.
Yeah, science is not a body of people. It's not a person. It's a method. It's an action. Science is not a noun. It's a verb.
The whole body of science.
Yeah, no such thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Which body are you talking about?
Yeah.
Whose body?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Run's
some things
body.
that just can't be proven. And they know this. That's why we have laws, people. Laws cannot be proven scientifically. They just happen that way. We can't get outside of this place to truly test certain things. So we have to make certain, admissions. Hey, we don't know this 100% for sure because we can't get outside the atmosphere to test the laws of thermodynamics. We can't get to that natural place that is supposedly a vacuum to start trying to test this stuff and know for sure. We can make all kinds of, this happens, so therefore this has to happen, therefore this. We can say that down here, but in nature, we don't know. We can't go up there and knock on the dome and say, yep, we're sealed in. Laws of thermodynamics are scientifically sound. We don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what we call them laws.
Yeah.
Same with electricity. We can't get outside this electric field and this magnetic field to actually test it properly. So we call them laws. It's not science because it can't be tested scientifically.
Yeah, it's just an event. It's just yeah, sure.
And but these things always happen. Yeah. Everywhere on this plane, high pressure goes to low pressure.
Oh man.
Positive pressure goes to negative. That's just how it works.
Look, if you go back and watch my videos on Fata Morganas, right? If no one has heard me say this, okay, there are no such thing as superior mirages. They don't exist. Okay. the stuff that I've watched, like I'm no different than everyone else that Andrew Thomas Young refers to as the basis for what he's saying about Mirages. Because these knuckleheads back in the 1600s didn't have a P900. So they're looking at shit miles and miles away with their naked eye and then trying to say, this is what's happening. They don't have anybody out there on the corridor taking measurements of barometric pressure or even the electromagnetic field, right? So if you look at the breakdown of what you see in descriptions of mirages, the only things that are typically mentioned are temperature, pressure, humidity, maybe, right? Those three things. But the position of the sun is going to have an effect. Electromagnetism is going to have an effect. I'm absolutely convinced of it, based on my observations with the Fata Morgana. Now, the Fata Morgana is a real event. Okay, it happens, but it's not what they say it is.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm shooting the Chesapeake Bay back when. Oh, this is what I'm going to say. Okay, so look, remember I told you that I took time off at the beginning of the year. Had I not taken this time off, I would not have captured the Fata Morgana. Had I not been laid off from work or at the beginning of November, I would not have captured the second Fata Morgana. So those antagonistic synchronicities, right? I didn't like them. Screw this. Why is this happening? But had it not happened, I wouldn't have caught it. So kudos to synchronicity. My point is,
Amazing how that happens, isn't it?
I know, right?
I like that term, antagonistic synchronicity, too, by the way.
Yeah, good. Yep, good. So, I'm shooting 20 days in a row in March. 20 days in a row. Same thing every day. Every day, same thing. Like, no crazy temperature variations, no crazy, nothing. Same stuff every day. Day 21, I'm like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go out and shoot the Chesapeake Bay. Again, I just going to see it saying, get up, Travis, go out and see it. Okay. And I set up my two cameras. I set up Sandra 1, Sandra 2. Shout out to Sandra Cool Pics. And I push record. I've got them both in two different directions, 90 degrees from each other. I sit down, pick up my Laws of Physics book, and start reading. And then I look up, and I can see the Fata Morgana. I'm going, oh my God, what is that? Because I've been shooting the Chesapeake for 3 years. Never saw this, ever. So you look across the Chesapeake Bay, and 5.85 miles away, there's a sandbank. There's the beach, right? If you guys know my red roof house.
Oh, yeah.
There's a beach there. You can't see the beach with your naked eye. But I can see the beach with my naked eye with the Fata Morgana. Thing was like, boom, ginormous. Like, what the hell is that? So I'm jumping up with getting my cameras. I'm like, oh, I gotta get what I'm missing this. Going back and looking at the footage, it was just amazing. So here's my conundrum. I shot for 21 days. That day, to me, exactly the same. No crazy, all of a sudden, it's really cold and the water's really warm, or the water's really cold and the air is really warm. Nothing. Same day. Same day. So what the hell's going on out there? Electromagnetism, I'm convinced. Like there's this field that just is blowing across my field of view, and it was just amazing. Absolutely gorgeous.
Have you considered including those measurements with your shots?
Say that again.
Have you considered including those measurements when you take your shots?
Because I didn't take any measurements. I'm just telling you, as a typical guy, just a regular guy, like it wasn't a crazy change. Like there are days in Maryland and everywhere else, I'm sure you guys know, like Indian summers, right? all of a sudden in September or October, you've got a 90-degree day. You're like, what the hell? This is autumn. Like, why am I having so there are times when from one day to the next, but you know that there's something different about that day. So I'm just saying to you, the barometer of my body and the thermometer of my body is like, this day is just like yesterday. Nothing's different. Because I've taken measurements, right? Before I took measurements, I'm like putting my finger in my mouth, holding it up, feeling the wind. Like, yeah, same day. Like, I don't need thermometers to tell me what's going on. So when everybody's like, oh, are you taking measurements, Travis? Nah, nah, nah. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go get a barometer. I'll go get a thermometer. And I'm like, yeah, the water is 65. The air is 63. That's not crazy, like crazy. It's like,
no, not at all. That's
inferior mirages happen when there's a dramatic change between. I'm like, what are you talking about? Dramatic change.
Hey, Zach.
I've got an inferior mirage sitting in front of me. The water temperature is 65. The air temperature is 63. Is that dramatic? What are you talking about?
What's that website Cami uses for all the EM fields and the ratings?
Oh, space weather.
Is it
.com maybe?
Space
Let me
weather?
check.
I mean, these aren't measurements you need to necessarily take, Trav. I was just thinking of finding out what it is at the time. I mean, if for 20 days, the EM field was doing one thing, but on day 21, it does something completely different. And even though the weather's the same, there's these other readings that are not necessarily thought to be related to the weather, that you could just take a screenshot of and tack it into the folder of pictures.
Absolutely.
So I'm not 100% sure if that is the one Cami uses, but spaceweather.com does have all of that information there. The same stuff, the magnetic field, the solar winds, coronal mass ejection, stuff like that. So yeah, that definitely is something to try to look into. And the great part is they have, they keep their data. So you could go back 2 years on a certain day and be like, oh, maybe that's why I saw this weird phenomena on this day. Maybe that magnetic index was off by like 20 points.
Well, see, here's the frustrating thing for me, and then I want to maybe address Snake Jones 19 because he said, what is he talking about? So I don't know if he's asking about me or what. But when I went to NOAA to look up the weather buoys on the Chesapeake Bay, the 3 or 4 times I've gone to that website, the buoys are down. There's no data. So the times that I've gone to try to find out this information, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I've noticed they've been doing that with a lot of the different sites for data like this, natural weather, and even, I mean, you can go to timeanddate.com and find, sun positions. But if you try to go to the U.S. Naval Observatory, which used to have it all down, I mean, it doesn't change. The sun and the moon, I went back like 30 years and it never changed within like 0.2 degrees of where the sun is in the sky. But you can't go and do that anymore. Information that was available to everybody at any time, I used to check it 3-4 times a day. And then now all of a sudden, they do not give out this type of information anymore at all.
Well, I mean, even when I did look up like Harford County weather conditions, Havre de Grace, Maryland, I get a weather station up in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? Like you guys, like you're telling, and they give me the same information I got by throwing a fucking Amazon thermometer in the water. I'm like, okay, great. So I have not been convinced that these measurements matter a whit at all. Again, I started out saying it doesn't matter. I don't need to take these measurements. I've taken the measurements. I'm still convinced this has no bearing whatsoever. They have no idea what causes mirages. In my opinion, okay, so let me just break this down. All mirages, and I'm going to take a kick to both shins with pointy boots. All mirages are inferior mirages. The target that you're looking at is mirrored below by the condition of the medium through which you were looking. That condition is affectionately known as, gentlemen? Come on now.
What are you saying now?
I was just trying to get a nice lead into my catch term.
I was working on Aether Band. I was sort of mid process of doing something else.
Listen, listen.
But
It's
it was
like
there.
it's like the Sunday school answer. What's the answer, class? Jesus. Okay. Whenever I ask you a question, the answer is Aether Band. Okay. So, okay. So.
Ether Band.
Yeah, Ether Band. Everybody drink. Hey, no. Okay, so my point is, all of this data that is out there from the 16, 17, 1800s, even if you have a telescope, okay, fine. If you have a telescope or some kind of ocular device that enables you to see farther, like if you're looking out with your naked eye, you are not able to analyze what you're looking at with your naked eye. You just cannot. You're not well, okay, look, so
we're way too limited. Our eyes are way too limited.
Well, yeah. So the thing that creates a mirage for a man standing is distance and angle. Okay, distance and elevation. Okay, so if you're 6 foot high, and depending on the conditions of the day, right? So I'm out at the Bonneville Salt Flats with my buddies Adam and Derek, and I'm set up on the road, and they're driving away from me a quarter mile. The truck goes into the mirage. The mirage is on the ground, right? So this is what I've said before with other people, like, do this. So we set up, they drive away from me with their odometer at 0. And when they get into the event, I say, stop. What's your odometer? Quarter mile. Okay, so my standing at 6 foot, or even 5.5 feet, the camera's at 5.5 feet, the mirage starts on the ground at a quarter mile. So now, another quarter mile, which is a half mile. So here's the concept. The mirage starts at a quarter mile and then covers distance of another quarter mile, but it continues past them. But my point is, among many, a mirage is not a vertical image. It is along the x-axis. So it's covering distance mixed with how we see perspectively. I mean, it's all a crazy dance. My point is, you can't analyze that with your naked eye. So I don't know how these scientists from the 1600s are empirically dissecting, analyzing these mirages, because 2 and 3, they don't have people out there in the field in the event, right? Because if I'm a mile away from you, well, let's say this, we're together, we're standing side by side, and we're like, hey, temperature's 60, and seems like the ground temperature is maybe a little bit hotter, let's say 70, let's say there's 10 degrees difference, blah, blah, blah. But we're right here standing next to each other. We're not like in a mirage. We don't feel like, oh, you feel that mirage, Zach? It's kind of funky, isn't it? No, but you go a mile away from me and then look back, I'm in a mirage. And I'm all distorted. Oh, what's your angular size at a mile away, Travis? Screw that. Am I in a mirage? Yeah. Well, then screw your math. Well, my math says that you're 6 feet tall and you're a mile away and your angular size, your pixel size. No, sorry, no. So, these guys are simply looking and describing. That's what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. But when you see a superior mirage, apparently, right, you are seeing something that you have to interpret. So here's my whole spiel. Sorry if I'm geeking out on you guys.
Do it.
Okay. So you guys all know what the Flying Dutchman is, right?
Yes.
It's an apparent flying ship. What do you mean it's flying, Travis? Well, when I'm on the deck of my ship and I'm looking out over the horizon, I can see where the water stops. And then I see this other ship above the water. Looks like it's flying. So they interpret that as a superior image. That is an image above the actual image. I don't see two images. I don't see two boats. What are you talking about? That's because the other one's behind a curve. It's over the horizon. And so refraction is looming up and presenting it above the horizon. That's what the basis of the superior mirage is. They don't believe the physical target is right there directly in front of them. Why? Because there's sky underneath what they're seeing. They can see the ocean, and the ocean stops. Why does the ocean stop? Because it's curved, of course. That's where the curve starts. So the sky, that's the horizon. No, it's not. So if you have a picture, go on and look up any picture that's like a Flying Dutchman or whatever, or a ship. There's plenty out there where you've got the water and you've got a boat above the water, and it looks like the boat's floating. Okay. Now there's a lot of different.
Oh, dang, that snuck up a little bit. Well, that just means we'll have to have you back on, Trav, so you can finish this all up. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that will need to have some perspective and some context for what you're talking about. But once you get it, it's amazing. Have a great weekend, guys. Be good. Be well. We love you. Bye-bye.